evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to another edition of Saturday Sports right here on NCBNTT television. We are on every Saturday evening at 8 p.m. where we talk sports. Tonight, we're going to be talking to two presidents of the same sport, but it's a little twist because there is an extension. What we're talking about tonight is basically the school's aspect of rugby. Let me first introduce Maria Thomas, the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Rugby Union. Maria, it's a pleasure, as always.
Thank you, George.
And Ms. Patrice Vignes, the president of the Schools Rugby Union.
Hi, thank you very much.
Right. Welcome, ladies. And first of all, let me start with you, Patrice. Tell the viewers a bit about this school rugby, what it entails, and how it started, and the objective behind it.
Okay, so school rugby have started from my history sometime in 1980, something like that, where we had about 8 to 6 schools training for that rugby. Besides that school, it was more important. They were more in Port of Spain, right? And then they went up to East and one school in South. So that has been just the history of rugby for school at that point in time. However, we understand it was dormant for quite a while, and as we were re-elected as president and the committee, we revived school rugby. We are in office 2 years now, and thus far we have almost 60 schools now.
60?
60 schools.
That's a lot.
Yeah, 60 schools in participating in rugby. Every day we get calls, we are asked, we get letters requesting that this program be introduced into the school. I believe our sports, rugby, is one of the most disciplined sports, and it's an agent for change for our young people. In rugby, people believe, they have the concept that rugby is a harsh sport, but just to clear, school rugby is not.
No, I was under the impression rugby was kind of like a violent sport, because little I know of rugby has changed, because the size of the individuals now playing rugby. Years ago, you used to see those tiny people in rugby, so see these huge individuals.
So let me get clear with that one time. They think good thing with rugby, anybody shape, anybody size can be in rugby. As long as you have whatever size and shape you have, we know the post or the position you will play. So as we said, slim like you, we will put you on the winger. You have speed, we will put you on the winger.
Or you start have veterans. But I must also say that I know the president don't like to be showing up, you know, but I must say that rugby 2022-2023 has taken a different turn, and to me it's one of the most popular sport right now terms of attracting the right people.
Yes, definitely.
Right? So I must congratulate the president and all who, you know, associate with this thing. Now I noticed that you all have attracted some top level, I don't want to call them politicians, but people who I think will play a major part in any organization. So tell us about that.
That's the caravan you're talking
about? Yes, the caravan.
Right. Oh, that caravan, we had at least 6 or 7 ambassadors and high commissioner on this caravan. And for all schools that they participated in or visited, each school had a different emotion, but all enjoyed it. It was for some schools was memorable, it was honorable that, oh, we have an ambassador coming to our school. Some, it was just a joy, a breath of warmth, a breath of fresh air that we have rugby in the schools now, especially for the new schools, that, hey, we're in rugby and we have somebody here coming to encourage us to be an ambassador. They now are ambassadors for rugby at the school level. All schools that were visited by the rugby, the caravan, the ambassadors, and the high commissioner, all schools express they want to have another visit, or schools that did not have a visit now are knocking on our door. How come we didn't get to come in? How come? Because the word has spread so much. So we are the schools that were visited are now ambassadors to rugby now. When they visited, they were overwhelmed. We had like 50 to 60 students now want to join rugby. Why? One, as I explained before, school rugby is not as the rugby we see we have touch. Because we are collaborating Ministry of Education, we have to do the softer touch of rugby.
Okay, okay. I'm glad you mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, so when teachers and principals heard that, so they were now comfortable.
So this has been sanctioned by the Ministry of
We are
Education?
collaborating, yeah,
Okay.
yes, we are collaborating with the Ministry of Education. So now that teachers and principals understand that now, then they say, oh, okay, and then they realize most of, and I want to toot my horn here, most of the students that participate in rugby, they're the most disciplined students at the school. So they realize the change, the metamorphosis from a child coming in rugby and now participating in rugby, the personality, character, everything has improved because we use the rules in rugby for you to now put them back in classroom. So you know, some children like, Miss, I don't want to join rugby because if somebody touched me, I will fight. And like, that's why you want to join rugby. So when somebody touches you, you have a different approach. So it helps with the anger management. It helps with the discipline. It helps with critical thinking. What do I do in this point in time? That's what we do on the field. When somebody, you are in a game and you engage in a game, what do I do with my opponent? Right? So you realize that they come back and they now transit into school, in classroom. So it gives the child a holistic development in character building, in changing personality, in changing.
Let's quickly go back, right? When the caravan enters the school for the first time, is it to recruit or what the first day activity is?
The caravan was just to engage.
Awareness.
Awareness, yes,
Okay.
to give awareness and yeah, for rugby. And because France was hosting the World Cup. So they wanted just to engage and incorporate different schools. So we chose different schools from the Port of Spain area. We wanted to go, we should be going the south, but we chose different schools in Port of Spain to highlight. So we chose school like Success Laventille, that's my baby. Success Laventille, that's the first time they are in rugby. We have schools like they visit Success Laventille, Southeast Port of Spain, Bishops, Trinity, St. Francois Girls, and Fatima.
Okay.
Those are the schools they visited.
So due to the success, you all expanding that in 2024?
Of course,
But
we
do
have.
you all have the staff to do that?
When we get to that just now.
But the president got to answer that.
Yeah, no, so we get to that just now.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
get to that just now. But yeah, we are getting there. Another thing, PE teachers are now coming involved.
Okay.
They realize, okay, because rugby is on the curriculum.
Then you all have to start a coaching course with the PE teachers?
Yeah, they have to.
Okay.
We have to. That's part of PE teachers. Well, I've done some PE rugby courses for their courses when they're doing PE in rugby. However, we will retrain or solidify the information that they have so they can now go out on the field because it's competitive.
Let me switch across to the president. When you have people under you doing this type of work, it makes your job easier, right?
Absolutely. My job can't get done without everyone working together as a team. So that's really what we've seen in this past year, an increase in the team cohesion and the collaborations that we have, particularly with Schools Union.
So would you say that 2023 has been rugby's most successful year?
well, can't
In
speak
terms
for of all
what
time.
what you all have achieved?
It's been very successful. We're seeing a logical progression from the things that were put in place. There was a lot of behind the scenes work during COVID, a lot of finding new avenues and ways to keep our sport alive and also set the framework for a successful return. And bit by bit, you know, even as restrictions were pulled back, and then of course as we are rebuilding and re-engaging the community, it's a step-by-step progression. And that's not only on the pitch with our athletes, it's also with the administration, with coaching, with refereeing, with the medical side of things. So I really have to commend everyone who's been working with our affiliate bodies and also within our subcommittees, because they have been taking the initiative and putting in the work to make sure that that foundation is sound, and of course communicating the needs that we have. So we look to the experts in each division, each category, to advise the union on what is necessary. If I am not a medical doctor, then it takes a medical doctor to advise me on what is necessary. And that's the way that we have been operating.
Now, from what I'm seeing is that this whole project, this CARAVAN has taken off, right? So you all can't fall back though, you have to go forward.
Definitely.
Do you all have the necessary staff, equipment, and all that it will take come 2024 for when the rest of schools open their doors to you all?
So we actually have, again, a collaborative plan for that. Tag X is a non-contact format of rugby.
And that is what you are playing in school, right?
They have played a different format of rugby, and now we're moving into the Tag X format.
Okay.
And there are a number of reasons for that.
Can you just, for the viewers, explain Tag X?
So Tag X is non-contact rugby. It can be played as touch, but generally we prefer to play it with the tags. It makes it very clear. It is similar to the sevens format of the sport in the number of players that are on the pitch. It's quite dynamic and engaging. So whenever there's a mistake made on the pitch, like a knock-on, a drop ball, something like that, there's an automatic substitution. And when you score a try, there's also an automatic substitution. So this means that the players are always engaged, which makes it perfect for schools because, you know, sometimes it's difficult if you're choosing the team and the superstar is always playing and then someone is, you know, picking flowers at the back of the field because they're not engaged in the sport. This means that everyone gets to play and there's no long wait to get onto the pitch. Also, you know, for the students who maybe don't like as much running time, they're able to know, okay, I'm going on now, but I will get to come off soon enough. I'm not stuck there. And it engages the students to think because there's a different point system to be successful not only in your local tournaments, but on a global leaderboard. And so it increases the level of communication and teamwork on the pitch. So it's a really nice product. We've had a lot of success. We've used it in some of our festivals. We've had it at the Silvo's Rugby Sevens, really focused on youth and the underage categories. And I believe, and you can speak to this some more, you've received equipment.
Oh yes, we received equipment. And I'm driving down, coming down here today, and I had like 5 schools, primary schools, calling. They want to get this program started come January. So it's really great.
And to your question, George, it actually extends our capacity because we can access training. So training for the coaches, training for the referees, as well as other support. So that's a huge plus because as Ms. Devines has indicated, you know, the PE teachers are looking and they're excited about having the rugby. They just want to make sure that they have access to that training and that support. And then as I mentioned, it is a collaboration. So Rugby Americas North will be here in the first quarter of next year and doing a super week of training. So it means
schools.
For everything.
For
everything. So there's going to be training in the medical, referees, coaches, leadership. So it's going to be quite big. It's an international training session. So we will be hosting other, I guess, students and trainers who are from other neighboring unions. And this is going to help us have a dynamic range of resources as far as making sure we can meet the demand of the schools.
In all that you all spoke about this morning, there has to be challenges somewhere inside of there. What are some of the challenges that you are facing?
This one is to me. Well, it's a challenge to meet the demand. It's a great challenge to have. I think, yeah, I'd say in the past couple of years, the challenge was, hey, how are we going to get people to come back to rugby or to stay in rugby, to support the rugby? And we overcame that challenge, and now the challenge is how do we meet the demand?
My demands of getting coaches. So
yes.
We have more schools, we have more teams now, and less coaches. That's our challenge now. The challenge is getting coaches to come on board. Not just getting coaches, you know, and we have to be real. The compensation monetary to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
That's the challenge, because coaches may want to come, but they have no finance. We cannot afford
so
to.
you
volunteer.
Volunteer.
Everybody's volunteer.
Everybody's volunteer.
So you need sponsors coming up
We
at
need
least
sponsors to cover
something for the coaches, in all fairness.
Yeah, definitely.
And what about venues? You all use the school venues, or because I know some of the venues that rugby is played on right now, I mean, it's especially in Savannah, it's terrible.
Right. So for schools, we use the schools because we have home and away. So we use the school, or if there's a ground close to the school, we use that ground. But we are trying to get, what I'm trying to get for this term is to get to use the stadium. Like for Larry Gomes, the schools in St. George East, they use Larry Gomes. In Port Spain, we use Hasty Crawford. In South, we use the Manny Ramjohn, and that's what we are trying. That's my task this term to get.
I can't tell you try Skinner because the mashup Skinner but that's a different story.
Yeah, so it will be easier than because we have schools as far as Matura. Yeah, we have schools as far as Matura. We have schools as far as Faisabad. So if we get a central point for these schools in St. George East, Larry Gomes, rather than going quiet, when they have to travel there, everybody come on that.
Oh, so you try to kind of cut down the traveling.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
But how do the rugby, I guess this question is for you, how do the union manage in terms of finances? Because regardless of what you're running, you must have some sort of, you know.
Yeah, so first and foremost, we are volunteer-based, and that's a huge task and a huge duty that people take on. It's a national duty. You know, it is something that uplifts communities, and we have incredible people who volunteer to do that. We also do get development funding from World Rugby, which we apply to different activities. We just recently received or are about to receive some more balls and equipment, things like that. And for most of our international, that's where we see a lot of support. And we get support from Ministry of Sport, when our teams go outside to compete. However, we're really looking forward. We've submitted some proposals, and we're looking forward to having that support here so that our preparation can ensure that our performance outside is more a reflection of our potential and what we're capable of than just being able to get there without the appropriate preparation.
Okay, we need to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion. Because we'll be right back after this short break.
Change on TV to the sound boy, better stay calm, be cool.
Santa Rosa First Peoples Community, in collaboration with the Center for Orientation and Integral Research, COIN, and the Caribbean United Against GBV, presents a 12-part series on gender-based violence intervention and prevention measures under the theme, Unmasking Myths, Promoting Peace. Tune in to NCBNTT television on Wednesday evenings at 7:50 p.m. You don't want to miss this.
Trinbago Heritage, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on NCBNTT Television Network.
Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back to Saturday Sports, and I'm speaking with Maria Thomas, the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Rugby Union, and Patrice, the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Schools Rugby Union. Let's continue. When we look at where the sport of rugby is today, it has grown, right? Mm-hmm. And yes, you are seeing growth in the schools, right? Let's do a quick recap on 2023, the schools program, how successful it was, what are some of the positives, the negatives?
Okay, how successful it was. Coming out of school rugby 2023, we had students representing Trinidad and Tobago for the national, the under 18, the under 19.
Okay.
We have about 5 student athletes who played rugby for the first time, but they went to sports and they didn't realize this is the skill they have. And our coaches, our manager were able to develop them further to represent Trinidad and Tobago in Jamaica, where we did excellent for the first time in how many years. Yeah, and that was the highlight for us, that we reached all the students, all the athletes as from school. And for some schools, were the first time these athletes taking part in rugby, and they participated. We have schools in Tobago. One of the boys from Tobago, he also came from the school, and he represents Trinidad and Tobago at the Commonwealth. Okay. So we are doing excellent. Also, too, we are offering, or not we, a lot of scholarships are offered to our athletes now. From rugby.
So you can get scholarships for...
Of course.
Okay, well, tell us more, because I was unaware of that. Yeah.
I can't give a lot of information about it right now,
okay.
But I'm aware that we have students that got scholarships.
Okay.
Or are preparing for scholarships.
That's good.
So as I say, we are I don't call my students or my athletes. We are student athletes, because we are developing the holistic part of you. So from rugby, you can go into scholarship. From rugby, you can be international. From rugby, you can go into coaching, referee. I believe as long as you come in rugby, you have to stay in rugby. There's somewhere you will develop.
One of the interesting points about the scholarships is that there are definitely a lot of opportunities, increasing numbers of opportunities for rugby athletic scholarships. And for any viewers that want to get information on that, they can write to the union. They can reach us at contact@ttrfu.com. There are also scholarships that develop in other ways, in other capacities. So for coaching, for administration, for leadership. So it's not...
So if you don't want to be a player, you could be coach or something.
And that's something that's getting a little bit more focus. But the fact that within rugby, we talk about how inclusive rugby is as far as people on the pitch, but it's also very inclusive as far as that administrative, organizational capacity that is necessary. We're seeing some great stuff by people who do media, for example. Whether it's photography or videography, that's why everyone's getting to see more rugby. That's really an initiative that these individuals have taken, and they're highly skilled, they do great work, and it gives such an opportunity for athletes to then showcase themselves, right? Commentary is another place that really grabs people. So you can say, all right, they can understand what's happening. It creates a talking point, right? One way or another, the athletes are featured a lot more. And these are actually career paths that people can take. Likewise with the officiating and other areas of the sport. So there are a lot of opportunities. If you come out and try rugby, you might find that, yes, it's the sport that you want to play, but you may also find your niche in other areas that support the sport.
Yeah, because we have a lot of students, athletes that I know that are doing sports management. Yeah, they're doing sports psychology. Yeah, they like, okay, miss, I think I'm moving on to this now. But because of rugby, they stay there. So they want to come back now and give back to rugby. So we have students who did medicine, massage therapy, and now into all that, coming in back into the field. Yeah, especially our young, the last group of students that now came out of secondary school. We have a lot of them are doing referee for schools rugby. We have a lot doing coaching for schools rugby.
So you're going to be good when the next 60 schools come on board next year.
Yeah.
Well, the year has nearly finished.
Yes.
What are the plans that you all have for school rugby for next year? What are some of the exciting things?
The exciting thing, so we have our launch will be on the 19th of January.
The launch of what?
Of school rugby.
Okay.
School rugby, that will be on the 19th. That's a big thing, that all the schools come out and display. At this point in time, rugby have a chant. Yeah, so each school come out with their best chant and display all the skills. And we see all the schools that will be participating. That's a big thing. We'll have like exhibition games. We usually ask the national team to come and do an exhibition games to show the students, athletes, that from school you can now join a club, and this is what you'll be engaged into.
You have a venue for that again?
Tentative Fatima.
Okay.
Fatima Ground, tentative Fatima Ground. Right, and then season starts right after. I think it's right after Carnival, our season starts. So we have schools from Tobago coming down to, Tobago came second last year, and they placed second last year. And they launch with the flag, because we have judging of flag, judging of uniform, as we say, the march pass, etc. But rugby don't do march pass, we do chant.
And then you all have the schools that's on standby to come on board.
Yes.
Yeah, you wanted to say something, right?
Well, last year we noticed with Schools Union launching in January, and during that period, often that is somewhat a downtime for rugby. And it had a big impact in that the schools were playing rugby, and so it engaged the rugby community much earlier. We're also able to have a few tours, some exhibition matches. It helps our national teams even to be able to have those exhibition games ahead of competition. We often have international competition before our leagues have started. So we're really excited that the Schools Union is going to be launching in January again. Just before that launch, there is a Tobago Classic Sevens tournament that is carded to happen in Tobago, which, as you've mentioned Tobago a couple of times, and the success that they've been having with their athletes and the development they're having in schools, it will be an opportunity really early to showcase not only contact rugby, but also the Tag X rugby in Tobago. And then, of course, we'll be here in Trinidad with last year's champions to host the launch for 2024 Schools League.
Coming off the caravan topic for a while, if you had to look back at 2023, from where you sit, what are some of the things that happened in rugby that stood out, and things that you would want to take forward and add to it?
So one of the major accomplishments, and this is an accomplishment for the region, which Trinidad and Tobago has had a huge impact in, is the return to the 15s format of the sport for women. When we were playing 15s before, Trinidad and Tobago was a very dominant force, and that 15s program has, even when it wasn't happening, it has been a factor You know, I love the 15s format of the sport, and it has always been a goal of mine to be able to return to that format for women. And that was achieved this year alongside the under-19s, which Ms. Vignes already spoke about. So that was huge. It was the first time playing. It was also the first time that Mexico, for example, played a women's 15s. And Trinidad and Tobago placed second in that competition, just behind USA South Panthers. The 15s format of the game is excellent, because as long as we have a strong 15s format, then we can pull every other format from that, right? Because there's that inclusion, that camaraderie, that understanding of different roles. And so having strength in our 15s programs, I think, really demonstrates the depth and capacity that we have for our 7s programs. We play other variations as well. We may be introducing a 10s league, so that's going to help some of the clubs that are still working up to get back their player base. So it really is about setting out what's necessary for the offerings that are specific to the needs of our community. I think we've been very successful with that this year. We've collected data. As you said, you know, everything doesn't work, right? So you don't hear so much about all the times that it doesn't work. But as long as we keep trying and bringing new ideas to the fore, learning from the things that we've tried, and applying that localized data, then we will be successful more and more as we continue.
I've heard from Patrice about the growth in the school sport. What about the growth in the sport outside of the school, like communities? Are you seeing more and more communities, the number of teams growing?
Yes. So we've added in the past 4 years, well, 3 years, I guess, 4 clubs. One of them is Southeast Port of Spain, which is a schools team. So that shows how strong the schools are, in that some of them are actually saying, hey, we have enough support here to actually be a club, and that's a great transition.
And that's coming out from the school
That
project.
came from schools. We also have School of Rugby, which is a community program for youth and an academy. We have, we're going to be onboarding other academies, so like Silvo's Rugby Academy. San Juan. Yes, they joined earlier. So we are seeing a lot of growth. And again, that's players, but it is also within the administration.
And not forgetting Supreme
Squad
from
yes,
Northeastern College. They have their club, so school and club.
That's good. Yes.
Yeah.
So you get a feeder base from the school into the club. So the club will always remain active.
And with our YDO program, we also have a number of tournaments, again, using TAGX, but also we have under 16 programs to get into contact rugby. And so these are specifically geared for safely introducing contact to student athletes or youth athletes, so that they don't have like a shocking transition between the schools program and a club program. So particularly if they're going into a club program that's a senior club program, that's going to be contact and full contact. So we want to make sure that they're not going from non-contact to playing with athletes who are accustomed to contact is the norm. So they have this stage in between that is really, really helpful. And that builds up the clubs, but also, as we've said, the communities and the schools. So what we do with our youth is imperative to us having success at a club and national level.
What sort of tournaments that you all expect for 2024, like major tournaments, locally, of course, because, you know, sometimes, you know, teams play a lot of tournaments outside of Trinidad, and, you know, the supporters at home are starved at times from seeing the national team play. And also in rugby, in other sports, you find that we are starved seeing our national team play top, you know, teams outside there. You all have any plans to bring in, you know, any foreign, but I mean, not Caribbean teams, but I mean, teams that people will want to see, all Mexico against, you know, some of those.
But usually, with the coming up for the national training, the under-19, the coaches will bring in some foreign players just to give them some experience.
Like when I came to
In South?
Stadium.
Yeah. In South?
Sometime back.
Right,
yeah.
So we have that. So I'm not sure who they're bringing down as yet, but I know our technical director, Mr. Punte, he has that, he will get that done.
Okay. So you no.
Well, this year we did a lot of hosting, and it did definitely help us with our.
Is there a cost to that?
There's a cost, but fortunately, whether it's the teams that are coming down, for the most part, the teams, they fund themselves.
Okay.
Also, sometimes individual sponsors within the rugby community in Trinidad and Tobago. A huge thanks. Often they like to remain anonymous, but these things would not be able to happen without that, not just, well wishes support, but that financial support that comes in. Trinity College came from Canada. Rattlesnakes came from Texas. We hosted, a test match with Barbados for the senior national team for the men. That was in 15s, and Barbados came and they participated in the Caribs tournament in our 7 series. Their national women's team. So we're seeing a lot of dynamic competition happening when we're able to invite people here. Based on the success that we've had this year in our tournaments, we're again using that data and looking, all right, how do we standardize our 7 series so that the clubs that host these 7 series can make sure that they can invite and create those opportunities, mutual opportunities for Trinidad and Tobago rugby as well as neighboring unions. There was the Grenada Sevens, which was a lot of fun, and it was a great opportunity that I'm very pleased with the way Trinidad and Tobago caught that opportunity. We had 2 teams. So we had a club team, which was Trinidad and Tobago Defence Force. They've been doing more regional tours, which of course they fund themselves. And we definitely saw how that was impactful within our 7 series.
Yes.
So the Defence Force, the men's team in particular, they participated in 3 of 4 sevens series, and they were the champions in both. Likewise, the women's team has done very well. And so you can see how that reflects on the competition here and raises the level of our local competition. We had Irie Bella Forma, which is a newly formed touring rugby team for athletes in Trinidad and Tobago to have just that opportunity to go. And that also had a couple of sponsors and also was funded by the athletes themselves. So they had the opportunity to do that. And those were 2 fully Trinidad and Tobago teams. There are 4 other teams that had entered, which had Trinidad and Tobago players on them. Misfits, who came second in the tournament in the men's division. The Caribbean Queens, which is an awesome concept where, Caribbean unions came together and a lot of their national players came and made this phenomenal team. We're hoping to see a lot more from them. The Maroons, which was another team, touring team that came down. And I'm missing one. Misfits, Maroons, Find Rugby Now. That one, we also had players there. And incredible contact points. Tamara Taylor was the coach for the Find Rugby Now team. And so it was great to have a conversation with her, particularly because the 100 Legends program, which she's a part of, we've been in conversation, and that might be part of our next step for the school's rugby caravan. So you see, if you get me talking enough, everything circles around and everything ends up being connected. But that's how we keep elevating ourselves through those connections and collaborations.
Okay. Well, we have to take another break. So when we come back, I want to throw a question to you all. At what age do you all stop playing rugby? And do you all see a need for over 40 or over 50,
We have
rugby league? Because in all other sports, you find that when the normal time to leave competitive, they have these leagues. So I want to throw that question to you all to find out if you all have something like that.
Of course.
Viewers, will be right back after this short break.
Hi, I am Nigel. Quote Me Today is your daily motivational segment to start your day right. Join me Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. right here on NCBN. Remember, wake up with a smile. Today is your day.
Straight. That's why when we festin', we just spend time when we jammin', we just jam down when we drinking, man it's strong rum, eh. Pop a bottle right now when we festin', we just spend time when we jammin', we just jam down when we drinking, man it's strong rum, eh. Pop a bottle, push up your hand.
Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back to Saturday Sports. Before the break, I wanted to throw a question to you all about Veterans League and rugby. But off camera, you were telling me that rugby has no retirement age.
But remember, I told you from the beginning, once you start rugby, you stay in rugby.
Well, so what's the oldest, I don't know if you all know, what's the oldest rugby player you all know currently?
Almost 60-something, almost 60-something, yeah.
How much?
60 plus.
60 plus?
Yeah.
So we have a club, the Enthusiasts,
Yeah.
and they run on Wednesdays and Sundays.
Mm.
We don't have a full league for Masters Rugby, but yeah, twice a week they're out running.
So you have a Masters League?
It's not a full league, it's a club, and
Yeah.
it's over 35,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's over 35 until. And actually there are really inspirational stories
Yes.
across, many different unions. As long as you can kit up and come out and run, we don't retire people from rugby. People often say that they're retiring and then bounce back and come in again. An interesting point, the thesis that I did for my master's looked at retaining people in rugby for roles in leadership, administration, etc., and how important is it that there are opportunities to play. And this was specifically geared to women. And what the research indicated was that you're able to retain players and you're able to retain human resources when they're able to play the sport. Because that's what brought us here, that's what we love about the sport. And when you look at the progression, there are women's programs, but you don't see as many masters women's programs as you see men's masters programs. And that was a critical point for retention because it maintained that community. It continued the community into those different stages of life, for example, right? So you come out and you're with your peers. So even if you are continuing to play, as your peers have other priorities in life that they start taking care of, you're no longer with your peers, even though you're not told you have to stop playing. And so, as you say, George, yes, developing a Masters League would be excellent for rugby. And there are different ways that we can look into doing that, whether it is contact or whether it is a non-contact format of the sport.
Patrice, I know that for where you are as the president and all your achievement, you could not have done it alone.
No.
Could you mention, your committee, and
So our committee is a skill bank. We have PE teacher. We have our executive honorary secretary, Mr. Kevin Wells. We have our technical advisor, Mr. Leon Panter. We have our educational officer, Ms. Carlin Walton. We have the treasurer, Cindy Edwards, and Ms. Lena Blumeners, all are qualified in their position that they hold.
That's why you're so successful.
Yeah, and I'm, as a social worker, see the need for schools. So that's why I say I'm so passionate about getting in school, so I can call my colleagues, hey, I need, what program you all have here? What are the issues you have here? And I work with my colleagues as social workers to help bring these students into to rugby. And as I said, we are not just athletes, we are student athletes, so we deal with issues. We help you transition from one stage to another. So it's growth throughout, not just on the field, but of the classroom, and even as we go out in life, because we are training you for life. We are training you for society.
Yeah, yeah.
We are training you for community. And as long as we do that, we get better community, we get better society. So I believe, that's my belief, that rugby is the best discipline sports for any child, any parent want to send them to us. We will help develop them. We work with parents. We don't, and another thing, we don't just work with our students, we work with our parents. So we host parent workshop, we host parents interaction. Any problem a parent have, they can contact the coaches, because our coaches are the change for agent for change. They work closely with the parents.
Okay.
So it's not just the student alone, or it's not just the school alone. We bring in everybody to this program.
What do you foresee in 2024?
Foresee in 2024.
Any secrets you want to?
I foresee, just like we had one right before the pandemic, St. George's College. I remember you did an interview with them. They did the SBA in rugby. I want to see that more. I want to see the students who participated in PE is their goals, especially who are playing rugby. Do it do your SBA in rugby. Host a big tournament like what St. George's College do. So if we have one in the east, we have one in the south.
Oh yes, I remember that interview.
Yes.
Yes, at the other station.
Well, I was servicing that school at that point, so that's why I remember.
Yes, I know. I remember. Yeah, I was trying to remember.
Yeah. So we have one in St. George East, we have one in South. We want to encourage students to come on, do your thesis. And like Maria, she did her master's in sports, and she could identify the different masters in rugby, etc. We want to encourage you to do that, encourage them to do that, right? And I have a little saying that years ago, like for 2020, when a boy child born, our father were like, okay, I'm buying a football for you. Now, from 2023 onwards, he will have a football in his hand and a rugby in his hand. Which ball? We have a choice now, not just football. Rugby is in there. I can see my son playing rugby. I can see my daughter playing rugby now. We are so much in it, and it's a positive change for our young people. So we are clubs, not gang. We are forming clubs. So you will see a club in Mover just now, you see a club in Success Laventille, you see a club in Diego Martin. We want to change on this whole thing. Clubs, not gang.
But more clubs mean more venues.
Yes.
And better venues.
Well, yes, and I think, I'm sending this out to our politicians, I think when you see, work with us. If they work with us, help us to get the venues, get the spaces more modified, we are helping our community.
Because we talk so much about crime.
Yes.
We talk so much about this and all these different things. If you see a project that is assisting young people in turning a different page,
yes, so
come out and then, because there are so many community fields
that
might be the ideal size for the sport, but at least something could be done there.
Something could be done there. So that's my plea to our politicians or stakeholders or sponsors who want help us build the field, and we will help with the crime. We changing clubs.
How do they say, the top dog, the top president have to start to make some phone calls and appointments with the government ministers.
Yes.
How is the sport together with the Ministry of Sports? What's the relationship like?
It's good. Ministry of Sport has had various camps, rugby camps, Ministry of Sport and Sport TT, and rugby has featured there. Actually, I just saw there's something going on social media right now where the minister is with the big Get Into Rugby sign and everything. There was a sports camp at Mani Ramjan, you know, and even with the venues, as you've mentioned, that we have, you know, we get sponsorship isn't always dollars. Sometimes, you know, it's where we have the tents, for example. Even if we can build out the fields like in the savannah, and we do live stream. We're live streaming most of our definitely international fixtures, and also we're working on live streaming more of our local fixtures as well, which means that you are going to have eyes on your product, right? Because obviously, you know, it goes hand in hand.
And as you all said, you have scholarship now, so people abroad can see now. Can see, definitely. Clips of a player you actually seen.
Yes, you know, and it's all kinds of things. I know you had mentioned the kits and the uniforms that were received, which is so another.
We received some uniform for almost 12 schools from the British
That's from the ambassador's connection.
Yeah, we received. So schools like Faisabad, Bourne High, Success Laventille, and other schools that I can't call at this point in time. But we have like 12 schools receive uniform. From all schools, the schools that receive uniform are new schools. So they did not have any uniform. So we decided to give them uniform so they get a start there. We also have tag, we got the tag X for the competition. Mr. Scott Packer, he sent for us. So each school that will be participating in the tag X have their tag and the X. So we get in there, we get in some assistance.
So all you are looking for now is a home.
We're always looking for a home.
Always looking for a home.
And how is that? Because I'm sure you all are looking.
We are looking. There are certain things that, you know, there's conversations going on. Building a home is not a small endeavor. So definitely it's part of what is rugby going to bring to the venue as well? What do we bring to that arrangement? And so all of the work that we're doing, all of these contributions, you know, right down to something like KIT that helps us to present our sport in a way that says, yes, you know, we're moving forward, we have this discipline, we have an attractive sport that does generate, you know, people wanting to come. It's not just about people playing the sport, it's about the fan base as well, which is very important. Something else that we saw at the Grenada Rugby World Sevens, where there were so many of our rugby participants and our rugby community that went to support that rugby tournament, even if they weren't playing in any of the games. And if we can go and have that much support, you know, in Grenada, imagine how much more support we'll have in Trinidad and Tobago when we can say that we have stands, facilities, you know, shelter in case of rain. We definitely have all of the pieces. It's just how we're putting them together.
When you look at all that what's happening in rugby, right? As I mentioned already, you have challenges in different areas, right? You never know that who might be looking on and viewing this program and might want to, you know, assist in some way. Because there are people like that, right? What areas that you will need help in, and you know?
So there are a number of areas, for example, within the schools union, and cut across me if I will need to jump in. Right, so the capacity for coaching, which we have support from Ministry of Education, the PE teachers, but especially when we come and cross into the community, so having some consistency and connection, and you know, not only the coaches but managers as well. You know, we think of athletes and coaches, and we forget that the managers are kind of pulling everything together to keep that link. So the human capacity, then the capacity for those humans to be able to cover their expenses, right? Because driving to these different places, traveling, however it is, even things just that a team normally needs, things like water, ice,
yes.
fruits, so that when they come to training, you know, we're conscious that these athletes, their instrument is their body, and so it has to be taken care of. We don't know necessarily what they ate in the morning or what they'll eat in the evening, but we know the output that they're giving for rugby, and so we need to make sure that that goes back into them.
Yeah, just to add on Maria's list, some students need footwear, basic footwear. You would not believe that. Basic footwear. Some students need basic footwear. Some students schools need balls. Yeah. Uniform. I mean, some schools I know the uniform are going through, and they will do some fundraisers to come up with uniforms and all that. So we need uniforms, we need balls, we need footwear, mainly footwear. I know a lot. I see, and that's my pain when I see students have to take tape to tape up the shoes just to play rugby, or they may try to borrow shoes from somebody because they cannot afford it. But because they love of rugby, they will participate in it.
We go through a lot of electrical tape.
Yeah,
duct tape.
well, yeah, electrical, yeah.
We don't have much time again, but I'm sure you would like to wish the school community, you know, Christmas greetings and send out to whoever you would like to.
All right. So I want to thank all the schools, principals, coaches, PE teachers, and not forgetting my student athletes. A wonderful Christmas, safe, and we look forward to seeing you next year, January. I also want to thank the Ministry of Education for continuing to work with us to get us where we are, continue to support us to where we are, and we look forward for continuous work with you. My colleagues, I have a group of colleagues. They are my bandwagon. They continue going with me. If I have something, like she had to bring me down to South, thanks for them. My executive committee, not forgetting them. Hard at work. I can call upon them anytime, and I usually call, I'm sorry, you should call 10 o'clock in the night if something just pop up, like call 10 o'clock in the night. Kevin, I need to get this. Colleen, I need to get this. Lena, I need to get this. I know I stress them all the time, but because the love of our students, the love of our athletes, love of the sports, they get it done. And we are a team. I cannot do it by myself. Definitely cannot do it by myself. And my vice president, Kiefer Devines from Tobago. Maria, thanks to Maria, always there at my support, at my side, supporting me, encouraging me. Thank you, Maria.
It's a pleasure.
You want to share anything?
Well, yes, I don't know if I can do a better job than you've done just now, but, you know.
That's why I give her more time than you.
Right. Well, likewise, the executive committees of the clubs. So, again, we're seeing that development behind the scenes. A lot of people that normally don't get recognized for the hard work that they do. Absolutely, none of this can be done without them. The previous question you had asked around like the support, partnership, and sponsorship, you know, we're establishing these organizational groups and these boards that can actually support those partnerships, and they have the autonomy to enter into partnerships even within our national programs where the national teams can work on their own branding and enter into partnerships. And we really stand behind what it is that we have to offer moving forward in that direction. So thank you to everyone who has been developing that. And of course, I hope that everyone has a very safe and fulfilling season. You know, we've had an amazing year of rugby, and everyone should be able to be very content and eat some great food and be ready to come out for 2024.
Well, let me extend the same thing to both of you all. A blessed Christmas and a bright New Year. And I want to thank you all for coming and sharing this program here with us, and at least letting the public know about what is taking place in rugby. And I know that, as I said before, over the last couple of years, rugby has really grown leaps and bounds. I want to congratulate both of you all and your extension, your committee, for doing a great job. So again, thank you all very much.
Welcome.
Viewers, we have come to the end of another edition of Saturday Sports here on NCBN Television. I was chatting with Maria Thomas, the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Rugby Union, and Ms. Patrice Vignes, the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Schools Rugby Union. And a very interesting interview. We want to thank them and wish their organization all the best in 2024. See you next week, same time, same channel.